If you're over 60, this private habit could be quietly harming your health. There's a deeply personal habit that many men continue well into their later years, something most consider harmless, even beneficial. But after 60, it may no longer be as safe as it once seemed. I'm talking about masturbation. While it's a natural and normal part of male sexuality, the way your body responds to it changes significantly with age. What felt energizing or effortless in your 30s or 40s might now be silently affecting your prostate, diminishing your sexual strength, and leaving you more fatigued than you realize. My name is Dr. Edward Kane, and I've spent over 3 decades helping men navigate the challenges of aging with confidence and clarity. As a urologist specializing in men's health, I've worked with countless men in their 60s, 70s, and beyond. And what I've learned is this: it's not the act of masturbation itself that becomes risky, it's how older men tend to approach it. Certain habits, patterns, and techniques that once worked well can now lead to long-term strain without obvious warning signs until it's too late. In today's video, I'll walk you through the 4 most common masturbation mistakes men over 60 make and, more importantly, how to avoid them. And pay close attention to the 4th one. It's the most overlooked, even by most doctors. Before we begin, if you're truly committed to maintaining your strength, vitality, and independence as you age, be sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss future insights designed especially for men like you. And if what you hear resonates, leave a comment with the number 1. If not, type 0 and let me know how we can better support your health journey. Mistake number 1, forcing an erection when your body isn't ready. We'll start with a mistake that's far more common than you might think, especially among older men who feel frustrated with their changing sexual responses. It's the tendency to force an erection or rush toward climax, even when the body is clearly asking for a slower, more attentive approach. I've heard this story countless times. A man in his late 60s or early 70s comes to me with a mix of concern and embarrassment. "Doctor," he says, "I used to be fine. Now I have to try so hard just to feel something." What he's describing, often without knowing, is the beginning of a downward cycle that can gradually harm his sexual health. As men age, changes in blood circulation, nerve sensitivity, and hormone levels make the entire process of arousal and orgasm slower and more delicate. But instead of adjusting to these shifts, many men continue using the same habits they had in their 30s. Tight grip, fast movements, and urgency. When it doesn't feel as good, they push harder physically and emotionally, hoping to recreate the sensation they used to know. The problem? That kind of pressure doesn't just miss the mark, it can cause real damage. In the next section, we'll look at what that damage looks like and how to break the pattern before it becomes something more serious. The truth is, forcing climax when your body isn't ready can cause far more harm than most men realize. It can lead to tiny tears in sensitive penile tissue, irritation in the urethra, and overwork the pelvic floor muscle, soften, worsening with age. Even more concerning, it puts added pressure on the prostate, a gland that becomes more delicate as you grow older. I've worked with men who came in complaining of persistent groin discomfort, loss of sensitivity, or ongoing inflammation, never suspecting their personal habits were the cause. The impact isn't immediate. There's no sharp pain or sudden symptom. It creeps in gradually, quietly, until you begin to feel less pleasure, less confidence, less connection with your own body. This mistake is especially dangerous because it's invisible. You don't see bruises, you don't feel broken, but over time, you notice you're not the same. Your erections aren't as strong, your desire fades, and sometimes sleep gets interrupted by bladder issues or discomfort you can't quite explain. If this sounds familiar, please hear this. It's not your fault. You're not broken. Most men were never told that after 60, sexual activity needs a shift in pace, sensitivity, and intention. You haven't been doing it wrong, you've just been doing it the same way for too long. Instead of pushing harder, it's time to start listening. Slow things down. Pay attention to how your body feels, not just whether you reach climax. Focus on the experience, not the finish line. And above all, see your body not as a machine to fix, but as a wise, responsive part of you that deserves care and attention. When you make that shift, everything else starts to improve. Mistake number 2, relying on porn as your only source of arousal. Now let's move on to the second silent mistake that doesn't just affect your body, but actually reshapes how your brain responds to intimacy and connection. I'll never forget a conversation I had with a 67-year-old patient, a thoughtful, intelligent man who had become confused about why he no longer felt any spark with his partner. "Doctor," he said, "I just can't get turned on unless I'm watching something online. And even then, it's not like it used to be." That quiet admission, full of embarrassment and frustration, is something I hear from older men more often than you'd think. It usually points to a pattern that's easy to fall in tune, difficult to notice, until it's already caused real change, using porn as your only form of sexual stimulation. As we age, the brain's ability to respond to stimuli becomes more sensitive and more easily overwhelmed. Fast-moving, high-intensity content floods your reward system with dopamine in a way that natural, real-life intimacy simply can't compete with. And when that becomes your norm, everything else starts to feel dull. What once sparked desire now feels flat. What used to feel exciting now barely registers. So you chase more graphic content, longer sessions, more frequent viewing without realizing your nervous system is adapting in the wrong direction. It's not about judgment or morality, it's biology. And the cost? Your natural ability to enjoy intimacy with another person, or even with yourself in a grounded, connected way, begins to fade. But the good news is, this can be reversed. In the next section, we'll talk about how to reconnect with your own arousal in a more balanced and brain-friendly way. When relied on too heavily, pornography can slowly drain your sexual energy. Over time, it rewires your brain's reward system, making it harder to feel connected to your partner, harder to enjoy simple touch, and harder to experience the emotional closeness that real intimacy brings. Many men start noticing changes they can't explain, feeling emotionally distant, disconnected, or even mildly depressed, but they rarely trace it back to their private habits. I've spoken with men who were nearly in tears, saying they just didn't feel like themselves anymore. They missed the days when desire came naturally, when just being close to someone was enough. The most heartbreaking part? Many of them had no idea that something so private could have such far-reaching effects in their relationships, their confidence, and their overall well-being. But here's the hopeful truth. Change is still possible. Even after 60, the brain remains flexible. With some effort and intention, you can rewire it again, this time toward deeper, more meaningful connection. Start by limiting screen time. Reintroduce your imagination through memory, daydreaming, or even literature. You'll be surprised at how much emotional and physical sensitivity returns when you stop overwhelming your senses. Mistake number 3, ignoring your body's energy limits by overdoing it. As we continue, let's talk about a mistake that doesn't get much attention but can leave you feeling drained in more ways than one. It's the habit of masturbating too often for your current energy levels. One of my patients, a 71-year-old man in fairly good shape, sat across from me looking puzzled. He told me he was always tired, had trouble sleeping, and just couldn't find the motivation for things he used to love, like gardening or biking. At first, he assumed it was just part of aging, but as we talked more, a different pattern emerged. He was masturbating daily, sometimes even twice a day, believing it helped him unwind. In truth, it was quietly exhausting him. It's a common belief that ejaculation is always beneficial, a form of healthy release. And in your 30s or 40s, that might have been true. But after 60, your body works differently. Recovery takes longer. Hormones like testosterone take more time to rebound. And the energy you use to bounce back with so easily becomes a limited resource. Especially if you're tired, stressed, or emotionally depleted, frequent ejaculation doesn't soothe the system, it actually drains it. The effects may not show up right away, but over weeks or months, you may begin to notice you're more groggy in the morning, less focused during the day, and emotionally flat. Many men chalk this up to aging, but in reality, it's your body asking for a break. Overdoing it can disrupt sleep, lower testosterone, and place unnecessary strain on the prostate, leading to increased urination at night and decreased comfort overall. This doesn't mean you need to give up sexual expression entirely. Far from it, but it might be time to rethink your approach and adjust to what your body truly needs now, not what it used to tolerate decades ago. The truth is, some form of sexual expression remains beneficial at any age, but only when it aligns with where your body is today, not where it was decades ago. Back then, you could recover in a few hours. Now, it may take a couple of days to feel fully rebalanced, and that's perfectly natural. The solution isn't to stop altogether, it's to pay attention. For many men, reducing frequency to once or twice per week can bring back clarity, energy, and a more stable mood. Others discover that not every experience needs to end in climax. Slowing down, exploring sensation without pressure, and finding new ways to enjoy connection can all restore that feeling of vitality without leaving you drained. When you stop treating your body like a task to manage and start treating it like a trusted partner, something remarkable happens. You begin to feel stronger, not by doing more, but by doing less more gently and with greater awareness. Mistake number 4, overlooking prostate health during self-pleasure. If frequent stimulation quietly depletes your energy, the next mistake hits even deeper, affecting your prostate. And here's what most men don't realize. The way you treat this small but vital gland during and after self-pleasure can significantly impact your daily comfort, urinary health, and long-term well-being. One man I worked with, age 68, was otherwise active and in decent shape, but he came to me with a complaint he found hard to describe: a mild pressure in his lower pelvis after orgasm, a feeling like he was never quite fully emptied. Nothing severe, just a persistent tension he couldn't explain. At first, he dismissed it. "I've always done it this way," he said. And that's the danger. Habits that feel familiar may also be the ones quietly wearing us down. By the time you're in your 60s or older, the prostate naturally becomes more sensitive. During solo stimulation especially, if you're slouched while seated or applying direct pressure to the perineum, it's easy to unintentionally irritate or inflame this gland. And when you also skip urinating after climax, something many men don't even think about, you create conditions where discomfort and low-grade inflammation can take hold and linger. This isn't just about a random ache, it's about how subtle strain builds up over time. Left unaddressed, it can interfere with bladder function, causing urgency, weak flow, or repeated nighttime trips to the bathroom. You might feel a heaviness in the pelvic area, a mild burning during urination, or just a tightness that doesn't go away. But instead of questioning their habits, most men blame diet, age, or bad luck, never suspecting that their self-pleasure routine might be part of the problem. The good news? You can make meaningful changes without medication. Small shifts like always emptying your bladder after orgasm, avoiding positions that put pressure on the lower pelvis, and being mindful of how intense or frequent your stimulation is can make a big difference. Caring for your prostate isn't just about preventing disease. It's about protecting your comfort, your peace of mind, and your ability to live with confidence. Conclusion: awareness is the first step toward vitality. After 60, many men in their 70s have found renewed ease in their bodies, not through medication or dramatic changes, but simply by learning to care for their prostate and listen to what their bodies are trying to say. All it takes is awareness and a willingness to shift with the times. Now that you've seen how 4 small, personal habits can quietly erode your health, the question becomes, what can you do to reclaim your strength, sensitivity, and confidence starting today? If you're still reading, I want to speak to you directly. From one man to another, you are not broken. You are not falling behind. And most importantly, you are not alone. The slower reactions, the dip in energy, the unfamiliar discomforts, these aren't signs that something is wrong with you. They're signs that your body is asking for a new kind of attention. For decades, we've been conditioned to ignore these signs, to push through, to do what always worked. But after 60, those same routines, if left unchecked, can slowly start to take more than they give. Let's revisit the 4 key mistakes many older men make with self-pleasure. Pushing for climax without a strong erection may feel like a shortcut, but over time, It causes real damage to tissues that now need more care, not pressure. Relying solely on pornography rewires the brain in ways that make real intimacy feel dull or out of reach, slowly stealing your ability to connect. Masturbating too frequently without regard for your energy depletes your system gradually, leaving you more tired, foggy, and emotionally flat. Overlooking prostate health during and after self-pleasure invites quiet but chronic strain that affects bladder control and day-to-day comfort. None of these habits cause immediate pain. They don't shout, they whisper, quietly, consistently, until one morning you wake up and wonder, where did my energy go? Where's the desire? What happened to the man I used to feel like? And I don't say this to alarm you, but to offer you understanding. I've had these conversations with hundreds of men who've spent their lives working hard, raising families, giving to others, and yet no one ever told them that the way they handle their private moments could affect their entire sense of well-being. So let me be clear. Your sexual wellness still matters. Your energy matters. Your ability to feel connection, pleasure, and self-respect, it all still matters. You don't have to accept decline as your only path. What you do behind closed doors can either drain you or help you come back to life. But navigating this chapter of life requires a different kind of attention, not the old push through and fix it mentality, but a softer, more curious kind of care. A willingness to listen, to slow down, to explore what feels nourishing instead of what simply gets the job done. You may find yourself needing to relearn how to connect with your body in a way that supports it rather than depletes it. That might mean giving arousal time to rise naturally, without pressure or expectation. It might mean experimenting with slower rhythms, gentler touch, and a posture that supports, not strains, your system. Cutting back doesn't have to come from shame, it can come from respect. A gift to your nervous system. A reset that brings more clarity, more calm, and a richer experience of pleasure. Because real fulfillment doesn't always come at the peak. Sometimes, it comes in the quiet moments of presence, patience, and self-connection. This is about more than avoiding harm. It's about embracing a wiser, deeper version of manhood. You've lived through decades of expectations, striving, and responsibility. Now, your body is offering something new, a different kind of strength, one rooted in awareness, tenderness, and resilience. And the remarkable thing? Change is always possible. I've seen men in their 60s, 70s, even into their 80s rediscover vitality. They feel more in tune with themselves than they ever did in their younger years. All it takes is a bit of courage to notice what's no longer working and a gentle willingness to try something new. If you've recognized yourself in any of these 4 habits, take a quiet moment not to blame yourself, but to thank your body for speaking up. Then, decidedly but firmly to try a new approach. It doesn't have to be dramatic, just one small shift, maybe more time, a new position, turning off the screen, or asking yourself, what does my body really need today? Instead of, how fast can I finish? This is about more than sex, it's about your overall quality of life. It's about reclaiming parts of yourself that may have been buried under years of habit and silence. It's about creating a more respectful, thoughtful relationship with your body, one that honors the man you are now. So, as we wrap up, I hope you leave with more than just information. I hope you leave with a renewed perspective. You are still sexual. You are still capable of connection. You are still allowed to grow, explore, and enjoy this part of your life with intention, with wisdom, and with power that comes from understanding, not force. The 4 mistakes we've covered today don't have to define you. Instead, they can be a doorway, a shift, a return to vitality on your own terms. Don't wait for a health scare to make a change. Start today, start small, and let your future self thank you for it. And if this message resonated with you even in a small way, I invite you to stay connected, because in the next guide, we'll explore practical strategies to help you naturally improve erection quality, protect your prostate, and restore your energy without medication, gimmicks, or shame. You won't want to miss it. If this conversation helped you see yourself differently, don't keep it to yourself. Like the video, share it with a friend, because sometimes a simple share is the beginning of someone else's transformation.